Hey, I'm Enzo with Accounting Pros, and today I'm going to talk to you about an automation that I created that helps me to automatically extract frequently asked questions from Fathom call transcripts. One thing that I was trying to really solve is I don't want to have to go back and listen to all of my sales calls or any of the calls where we're supporting our clients to be able to understand what are the questions that we hear all the time and be able to add those into a place where we can easily access for things like recalling that information inside of Notion when we're using Notion AI, maybe like training new employees or just trying to figure out like how do we normally answer questions like that. And also I wanted to have our chatbot on our website be updated all the time. And I didn't want to have to go and manually do that. So this will allow me to go through all those transcripts, not have to do that manually. And then I have a human in the loop because I don't want to automatically say, yes, this question and answer is accurate, because sometimes there's some hallucination. Sometimes people get things wrong on calls and we have to go back and offer some retraining, but I don't want to have that wrong answer surface anywhere in our Notion account or on our website when people are interacting with our chatbot. So that's why I wanted to definitely have a human in loop in this situation. But let me walk you through this automation. It's actually quite simple and you can build this on your own inside of Make or any other tool that you're looking at. So as you can see, this automation is rather simple. I only have a handful of steps here. I'm starting here with a custom webhook, and that's because I am not able to connect with Fathom directly with my Make account. I have to use Zapier in the middle because that's the only tool that they support. So everything goes into Zapier, but then I immediately push it into Make using this custom webhook. And what I also do here is I am creating a database item inside of a Fathom calls database inside of my Notion account. So this is the Fathom database here. So this is Fathom calls, and then this is the item that I have created inside of that database. This houses a lot of details, who we talked to, and it actually links another database, which is the extracted frequently asked questions, to here. I actually have two databases. One is the call and the transcript, and one is the frequently asked questions, because I wanted to be able to have database entries that are unique. So I didn't want to have like, I added name removed here, but like client name and then us, and then have question and answer. I wanted to be able to connect the dots between the two without having to have 100 Fathom calls entries. It just makes more sense for me to have the parent-child relationship instead of our Notion account. So going back into the automation, I'm creating that initial database item. And that database item is really going to be just the call. So here, this adds the title of the call as the title of the database item. It then will list the frequently asked question status of incomplete, because again, I want to make sure that there's no hallucination or things aren't wrong with the questions or answers before they get published online. This adds a URL for Fathom. That way I can actually go into Fathom and ask it questions or just interact with the Fathom interface, because it's really nice. And it adds the review status of not started, and the start time is the date of the call. Next, it will append the database item content with the transcript. So I want to make sure that we have transcripts listed inside of Notion, not just inside of Fathom, because I want to be able to access this at any time. So if Fathom's down, I can go into Notion, but that also means that I can use Notion's AI if I want to interact with transcripts inside of Notion, which is really nice. And all I'm doing here is taking the database ID from what it created here and just dropping the transcript in here. I'm not doing any sort of formatting or anything, at least not yet. Next, I'm using Claude to review the transcript, and I'll make this a bit larger, in order to pick out some key information. So I want to be able to have this information in a JSON array. We're going to have more than one FAQ come out, but I want to have a structured format in order for me to drop it into my FAQ database. So I want to know minimally what is the question, answer, topic, user type, and the stage in their journey. This will help me to understand what sort of questions people ask when they're a client or whenever they're a prospective client, etc. And then this is just giving it an example of the output. So how much does your payroll service cost? And this is an example of how the answer would be spit out. And then making sure that they are following these guidelines. And we have important output rules because we want this to only output a JSON. Otherwise, I can't actually use it in the next step. So it needs to be in a predictable format that can be used later in the automation. And then down here is where I drop the transcript for it to review. And then next, once that output is done, it will parse the JSON. So it will go through and actually take the JSON string out of that And then I need to iterate and aggregate it because I need to be able to see if there's 20 questions in here that I have each of those questions and answers are their own frequently asked question item. So if the question is, what is your payroll cost? And the answer is $1 billion. I want to make sure that I have that question and the next question and the next question in their own individual database items or pages inside of the frequently asked questions database. And then finally, this is going through and taking the FAQs that have been pulled out and added to that array here and dropping in the question, the answer, the database ID. It also has the status of incomplete. The type is listed here, the topic, and then the stage in the journey. So with this, going back into my Notion account, it is doing that connection between the frequently asked questions. This is a relation. As you can see, that's a relation here. I have all of these relate to the question. And as I go through, I'm going to mark this as complete or incomplete. The question here is, how does Accounting Pros stay current with technology and AI? And we're making substantial investments in agentic AI, et cetera, et cetera. If I actually think that this is correct, I will mark this as complete. And then this will actually push this to a Google Sheet. And let me go into my HubSpot account. I have this customer agent set up here. And if I go into content, I'm using all the content on my website from my knowledge base and all the pages on my website aside from my blog. And I have an imported URL, which is my extracted FAQ for my chatbot. And as I'm saying that things are done inside of Notion, it will push that onto the sheet, which then gets read by the customer agent chatbot. And then if I go onto my website, there's a little chat bubble at the bottom that will allow people on our website to ask questions. And as long as I've approved of those Q&As, like the final result, then they'll be able to access that information here. So I think it's important to have that human in the loop in this situation, but I definitely don't want to go through every single recording one by one and have to figure out, what do people ask? What's the best way to list this? I wanted to have a really standard process for being able to discover that information and publish that information really quickly. All in all, this is maybe like 10 steps in total. The operation count is very low. You could also likely create this in things like N8N, but since Make is currently the one that is my favorite for now, I built it here and it's really easy for me to use and maintain. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. It was a really fun thing to build. The next thing that I'm doing is building something related to Zoom calls, because not every person on my team is using Fathom. And quite frankly, Fathom is, kind of expensive. So maybe I don't want to use it forever, but I can also take any of the transcripts from Zoom and do the same thing if I want to extract things like customer sentiment or like what's the topic of the conversation. I'm also looking for things like upsell opportunities. So if somebody is asking one of my teammates about human resources and they're not a client that has that sort of service offering, then I'll have my HR manager reach out to them and say, hey, it sounds like you are needing some help. Or if we hear something like, I'm having cash flow issues, I'm unhappy with your service, or I'm thinking about canceling, I also want to be able to surface that information as well, because if there's any way for me to save that relationship, I'd like to do that, because it's better to keep a client than having to go find a new one. And I like all the people that we work with, so I wouldn't want to lose somebody that I really like. This could be something that you build on your own. Let me know if you have questions about how I did it, but happy building. Bye.